Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, by Hashem Kodash. I want to give double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness at the house of David the elect. As a high spirit, we in Judah. And today I want to go into a topic, a live stream, something that was in my spirit. We discussed last night. We had our Wednesday night class. Last night we had it as a ministry. So through the spirit, some of our classes, maybe once a month, we're actually having on the highways and the byways. So sometimes you will catch that midweek ministry, you know. And shalom to you, okay? Like I said, first of all, I want to give all honor and glory to you. How about Shema Shai? By Shem Hakodash, double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness, and house of David the elect. I hope you brothers will be able to receive edification within this 10 minutes. I will within 10 minutes because I got to get back on the shift on the job. All right. Hope this is beneficial in your midday. Okay. So I just called mental oppression of the Israelite man, the gaslighting narrative. All right. Mental oppression of the Israelite man, the gaslighting narrative is always your fault. I said something to that effect. It's always your fault. And if you look at the word oppress, it literally means to press. O means to or against, like opposition. All right. Press literally means to press down. All right. So we're systemically oppressed, all right, by the elite's power structures through capitalism, all right, and through their banking redlining and all these different systems put in place, allotting different resources outside of your so-called communities. All right, that's a form of oppression. Okay, there's the pipeline set up where you end up going to the, you fall through the traps of the prison industrial complex, through the traps that he's set in your environments. All right, another form of oppression is he's stripping you or your neighborhoods of nutrients. You go to most predominantly so-called black neighborhoods, at least the ones I'm familiar with. All right, there's no Whole Foods, there's no organic section. All right, and even if they do have a farmer's market, all right, Jake just don't mess with it. You know, Jake has already been spoiled through the convenience of cheap fast food. Okay, but Jake has been oppressed through child support. All right, show me in the scriptures where you have to pay child support. All right, if anything, you let the woman go free. All right, but you keep what you keep. All right, because she was the possession. Okay, like I said, everything that was just named is a form of oppression. All right, the fact that we're targeted when it comes to crime, the fact that they drop off nuclear facilities, they build nuclear facilities that emit poison in the atmosphere. They always build it in Jake neighborhoods. Uh, we're oppressed in so many ways. All right. Nevertheless, all right, and brother has a scripture. I think this time I'm just close it out with the scriptures. I'm definitely going to get it to the spirit. So we're oppressed in so many ways, but one thing, just to make matters worse, another way that we're oppressed is through the narratives that everything is our fault. Okay? Or also a narrative is that we're the underdog and we're inferior. Because in order to bring to life the storyline of so-called white supremacy, which supremacy goes back to supreme, meaning that they have systems to keep them in a supreme position, but also the narrative that they're superior. Was superior to who? So in order for you to believe that they're superior, you have to believe that you're inferior. So you have to believe that in the Western world, in his realm of power, all right, you're actually inferior to Esau Edom. There's a reason why your woman has blonde hair. A lot of our women have blonde hair. There's a reason why a lot of our women assimilate into this dominant power structure, gets closer to the power of Esau, then looks down on you. The first person she looks down on and says something negative about is you. All right? There's a reason why, all right, basically, systemically, you're at the bottom, all right? But there are systems put in place for us to be at the bottom. Even if as an individual, you might be on top, but your race is at the bottom, all right? But every time you turn on the news, the only person that's doing something wrong on earth is Jake. Nobody else is doing nothing. Most pedophiles are so-called white men, all right? The ocean is polluted with plastic, all right? The ice glaciers are melting. All right, thousands of species are becoming endangered in a short period of time. All right, the earth is basically defiled under the inhabitants thereof. All right, but of course, based on this narrative, everything is your fault. All right, you have to remember All right, Esau and Eve made a covenant in the garden. So they're sort of like they have a joint power with each other. Part of their covenant was to overthrow you. You know, when Eve got her attitude behind the register, that's a demon on her, man. All right, to play into this narrative that you're not worthy of respect. The attitude is just a lack of respect. So it's reinforcing this this subpart, this underdog narrative that you're not significant, man. All right, these platforms where so-called black women have to be liberated from our oppression. All right, that's a false narrative. We never oppressed you. Okay, you don't make enough money. That's a gaslight narrative. How's it a gaslight narrative? Because how much money you make as a man doesn't determine your value. The scripture says a poor man with integrity is better than a man that has deceitful riches, roughly paraphrasing. All right, scripture and Proverbs. All right, but the fact that you're playing into your oppressor's culture of and what he assesses as value, all right, that has nothing to do with you as an Israelite man. Okay, with this narrative that the so-called black woman has escaped you, you know, she has to overcome your oppression. That's a form of gaslighting. We never oppress you. All right, you don't make enough money. All right, or so many so-called black women, they had this narrative that they had so many failed relationships because of the so-called black man. All right, but if you listen to these women on these platforms, and if you ever chime into their girl talk, the only thing they really prioritize is good sex. A lot of our women, the number one thing in their mind is your proudness down there, what you working with down there. And when it comes to Eve, that sets precedent that surpasses any other value she has in mind. All right. So a lot of our women are in the positions they're in because they're poor decision makers. Period. They are poor decision makers, man, and they're very primitive. And they don't go out and say this, but a lot of them are very they're subject to those basic instincts, man. All right. See, but going back to the live stream, okay, because I'm not gonna act like I'm some fucking womanologist, but I can tell you about the things that I've experienced. You see, and these correlating things that they all say. In one breath, it's a problem with the so-called black man, but in another breath, the real value system, it has something to do with what you're working with downstairs, man. Or you can make her life comfortable. It has something to do with your merit. All right, it has something to do with your character. But when they go out and say those negative things, it's actually gaslighting. Now you might ask, what does gaslighting mean? Because you hear everybody say gaslighting. All right, there's a story that I guess early 1900s, the early 20th century, where a evil husband decided to play a wicked game on his wife, and this was back before they had electricity. So people's form of light was gas lights, and every time his wife would leave out the room, all right, she'll turn the light off, like how you walk out the bedroom and you turn the light off. Well, he decided to play a mind game with her, all right. So every time she would leave out the room and turn the light off, behind her back he'll turn the light on, and then get mad at her. See, you always leave the light on when you leave the room, and it'll mess her mind up. Like I knew I turned the light off when I left, and then the next day he'll do it again, do it again, to the point where she was driven crazy and went to the madhouse. It was a fictional story, but that's where they got the concept of gaslighting. It made you question your own reality. In this systemic oppression, you question your own worth as a man. Like I don't make enough money, you know, or you actually believe women when they complain about men. Like now that's a form of manipulation because you coming in a situation proving that you're not a bad person. Wait a minute, what about her? She should equally prove that she's not a bad person. You see? So, and even with this systemic oppression, there's all these narratives that we're the criminals, we're the bad guy, we're this and we that, we don't see our kids and all this stuff. But but when we got platforms saying you're not who you say you are as being a chosen people, we get deleted off YouTube. Or if a celebrity says, you get canceled. You see how that works? You see how that works? We can say we the chosen people and you not. Now we get canceled. You see? This for the first time in history, a narrative is being built against you that's against your narrative. Your little storyline is being challenged, and you can't take it. See, we've been taking it for years, for decades, for centuries. All right, that we were 3/4 of a man, that we was half animal, and we were criminals. But now we putting that back on you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, then you can't take it. Well, let me get these scriptures for I leave at the water for posting. All right. It says Lamentations 5:5. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. All right. Hey, he'll out the saints of the Most High. Jeremiah 31:22. How long wilt thou go about, O thy backsliding daughter? Talking about the nation of Israel. For Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. I catch a lot of hell on my job behind lies and drama. And it's a spirit, bro. And we all do. It's that's a whole other situation, man, a whole other topic. But the spirits are building your jobs, and people lie, they backstab. This people do crazy stuff because they're in survival mode, so they put the blame on you. All right, people want to one up you and all this crazy stuff, man. All right, but that's a form of gaslighting too. You know, people build these narratives that it was your fault, but really it was their fault, or they didn't want to get the blame. So it's all type of deceitful stuff when you're amongst your people, man, or other nations, man. All right. But at the end of the day, it's almost over. All right. But with that, I hope you brothers and sisters will edify. To the next time, shalom.